There is no easy way to change careers, but you can make it easier on yourself by avoiding these 10 following mistakes. Number 1 is to quit your job and leaving behind your existing career without having a concrete plan in place. Some people just hate their job so much that they want to leave it right away on the spot. One of the obvious things that could happen if you don't have another income source or job lined up is that you just run out of money. But I think that the biggest risk actually relates to your self-confidence. Let's say that right now you're a teacher and your goal is to become a full-time musician, and you've been doing a lot of music, but you're not really a professional musician yet. So you're kind of in between. But if right now you leave your job as a teacher, what happens is that you can't call yourself a teacher anymore, but on the other hand, you're not really a professional full-time musician yet either. So for some people that could work, but for many other people that could cause quite a lot of stress. Number 2 is expecting career change to happen in a single move. In reality, it doesn't work like that. In reality, it's much more like a chess game. It requires multiple moves in order to win the game. And it's the exact same with your career. So if you're just about to start changing your career and you expect that you will achieve your final career goal in a single move, hopping from job A to job B or career A to career B, then it is likely that you will quickly become frustrated because that is not how it works. Rather than everything happening within one single move, what usually happens with people is that they pivot within their existing career and they make several job shifts until they finally arrive at their dream career, if you will. Let's take, for example, someone who works in marketing and banking who wants to become a web designer. Chances are that wouldn't happen overnight or even in a matter of a few months. What is likely to happen, for example, is that that person, while working in marketing and banking, took an evening course on the side, learning web design, and maybe also taking on a few freelance projects, then perhaps even getting involved working on a side project, doing web design at the bank they work for, and then little by little moving into the direction of finally becoming a full-time web designer. Number 3 is not testing enough before starting your career change process. While some people have really clear career goals, for example, there are people who just know for sure, without a doubt, that they want to become a surgeon. Other people might have multiple interests and they are not really sure yet what they want to pursue seriously and on a professional level. Let's say, for example, someone doesn't like their current career, their existing job, and they think that they're really interested in psychology. Maybe they want to become a psychotherapist, but they're also kind of interested in nutrition, but also interested in art. So there are so many things. And the problem with this is that the person doesn't have a clear vision for themselves yet. And the reason for that is because they might not have done enough testing and self-evaluating. So what does testing out a career mean? Testing means that you try to get hands-on and perform those kind of activities that come closest to those that you would need to perform in your target career. So let's take, for example, psychotherapist. Of course, it's a regulated career and without a degree, you're not going to be able to dabble in it. But what you could do is pick up, for example, a scientific research paper on a topic in psychology and read and see how long you can stick to it. If you can't even finish one paper, if you can't even spend half an hour, let's say, reading it, then perhaps it's really not for you. Or let's say that you think you like counseling. Have you ever spent more than half an hour or an hour talking through difficult and serious issues with maybe a friend, an acquaintance, or someone in your family? I'm not saying at all that this covers the whole breadth of being a psychotherapist, but at least by trying out these small things and testing yourself, you can get kind of a hunch of whether or not this could be the right thing for you or not. Number 4 is rushing into getting a second bachelor's degree and not exploring enough other options. If you want to become a doctor and have a degree in journalism, then by all means go ahead and study medicine. Just don't end up taking a second bachelor's degree for the wrong reasons. Don't take a second bachelor's degree just because you are feeling lost, because you don't really know what you want to do, just because you feel or you think that that you're really interested in nutrition or psychology, etc., it's simply too much time and cost. While in order to perform regulated jobs such as medicine, law, etc., you definitely need a degree, there are many other kind of unregulated degrees, for example in design, acting, life coaching, and many other things where you don't necessarily need a bachelor's degree. In many cases, simply taking a diploma or even a one-year postgraduate course or just courses will be sufficient. By the way, this is a question for you. Are you changing careers at the moment? And if you are, do you relate to any of the things that I said here in this video? Please let me know in the comments below. Number 5 is not having enough money saved up before you start your career change process. Ideally, before you start changing your career, you would have already built up a second income stream. This could be passive income from your property or a side job and so on. And what would be even better is that you build your new career while you are still in your existing career. But let's just say that you just want to leave your old job and career behind, you don't want to wait any longer and you just want to start. In that case, you will have to rely on your emergency funds or on your savings. And many people do have unrealistic expectations about this. There are people who prepare an emergency fund for 6 months or even 12 months, and they have the expectation that in the 13th month they will break into their new career or their new business that they set up will start making money. But in many cases, that is not the case. Of course, we want to remain optimistic. We want to believe that we can start making money in our new career from our new endeavor as soon as possible. But we do have to prepare for the worst. It could take much longer. It could take 2 years to break even, 3 years, or even 5 years. And what you want to avoid is that in the middle of your way, you suddenly can't continue because you're out of cash. And at that point, it will be game over. Meaning that at that point, you might be forced to go back to your old job or career. And I think that that is the worst thing that could happen. Or if you don't go back to your old job, you might be forced to take on any kind of random job just to stay afloat, and that kind of sucks. Mistake number 6 is to expect to start at the same level in your new career. Some people really want a career change, but they just can't bear the thought of possibly having to start at a lower level in their new career. Some people just can't let go and they're so fixated on their old title. Let's say in their old career, in their existing career, their title used to be VP or head or manager or assistant manager or whatever. And now they start working on getting into their new career and they realize that, oh, it seems that I can't just start at the same level. Although my title was VP before, I might not be able to start at that exact same level. And it's so dangerous to have that kind of mindset because what it does is that it glues you to your place. It makes you unable to move because you are so disappointed that in the new career, you will have to start from the bottom. I'm not saying that if you start a new career, you have to completely start over. That is normally not the case. But usually you would need to start at a more junior level, at a relatively more junior level. And of course, if we're talking about more minor career changes, for example, you're switching from a position of marketing in banking to marketing in insurance, you might be able to retain your same title and stay at that same level. But as soon as you want to change your career in a more drastic way, then normally you would need to step down before you can work yourself up again. Let's say that previously you were a teacher and now you want to get into acting. Chances are very small that you will be able to immediately get the main role on Broadway. What is likely to happen is that you will either get a supporting role there or you will start in community, smaller theaters and work in a supporting role or work on a student film or even work as an extra. And that is totally fine. That is how it works for most people. There's nothing to be ashamed of. If you are serious about career change, then you need to trust the process. You need to be aware of the fact that it is going to take you some time, but it doesn't matter because perhaps you might be moving slower, but at least you are climbing up the right ladder. Number 7 is not discussing options with experienced people. Of course, you can do career change on your own. You can completely do that. You can Google your way through career change, watch YouTube videos like this one, read blog posts, etc. But chances are that you might be wasting a lot of time. You might be going back and forth. You might be going on the wrong path. You'll just be wasting a lot of time and money. If you know someone who is already working in the area, in the career, the job that you want to break in, then it's a really good idea to reach out to them, ask them for some time to talk to them, try to learn from them and ask them many questions. How did they get into the career that they are in now? What do they like about it? What do they hate about it? How long did it take them? What kind of education did they get and how much did it cost? And also, if you can trust them, try sharing with them your plans to change careers and ask them about their honest opinion about it. They might be able to provide you some very important feedback. By the way, if you like this video and you want to get more videos similar to this one, then please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and most importantly, please hit the little alarm bell. Number 8 is not communicating your career change plan with your family or your spouse. If you work on a career change and you don't tell them about it, it can lead to a lot of misunderstandings. They might, for example, not understand why all of a sudden you don't have any time to spend with them on the weekends. Why now on Sundays you go to the public library and bury yourself in books. Why all of a sudden you need $3,000 to go to an illustration course or a nutrition course or whatever. The thing is that a career change process will affect the people around you in some way. It will affect the amount of time that you have available to spend with them, your family finances, and so on. So what you want to do as soon as you get really serious about this career change thing is to talk it through with them, to ask them about their opinion, to try to get them on board, because what you really want to get is their support. Nothing is more valuable, if you ask me, if your family has your back, if they're on board with your plans, they understand where you're coming from, and they support you all the way. Number 9 is giving up too fast. I am a believer that quitting is always an option. For example, if 5 years ago you had certain career goals, but now at this point it's no longer relevant to your vision and your personal goals, then scrap it. Then it's okay to quit. But don't give up for the wrong reasons. Don't give up the whole thing midway just because you're frustrated, because you're impatient, because you feel so tired, or you think that you just can't do this anymore. There's no point to it. It will not work out, and so on. Maybe you've been working on setting up your own business for 1 or 2 years, and until this point your product still hasn't launched yet, you haven't broken even, you haven't found investors, and you're starting to become very frustrated with the whole process. So before you quit, give it another chance. Take a step back and try to review and assess your situation. Give yourself honest feedback or get the feedback of someone else where you're at, what progress you've made so far, and what other creative steps that you might need to take to finally get to where you want to be. It might even be the case that you only need 1 more year, or it only takes 1 more creative step to get to where you want to be. When I was producing my independent feature film, there was a point where I was about to give up. I met with so many potential investors and no one signed on. So I met the 40th person, the 41st person, 42nd person, and so on, and I started to become very, very tired. But it was only until I met, I think, around the 50th or 50 something person that it finally worked out. So could you imagine how different everything would have been if I hadn't continued that process and I had given up after I met the 45th potential investor? Then I wouldn't be where I am right now. Mistake number 10 is expecting that your career goals will remain constant throughout your entire life. This is a recipe for disappointment. It is unrealistic to expect that what you want in terms of an ideal career, let's say, is the same at the age of 18, at the age of 35, 50, and so on. That's not the way it works. It makes sense that as your life changes, as you become older, your priority changes, and with that, your career goals might also change. Of course, there are some people who follow a very straight and focused career path from the age of 18 until they are 70. For example, at the age of 18, they started doing music. For example, example, playing classical piano and became a pianist and a professional pianist and continued doing that until they were 70. And I think it's awesome that there are those kind of people out there, because those are the kind of people who become a master in their area, they become an expert, and they become very specialized. But the thing is that not all people are built that way. There are other kinds of people who perhaps have more varied interests. They have interest in different kind of areas which they want to pursue in a professional setting. And as lifespans become longer and longer now, and the quality of life is increasing, health is increasing overall, people have the opportunity to keep on working even into their 70s or sometimes even 80s. So you don't have to follow one single career path throughout your entire life for 60 years, but rather you can tweak and adjust your career according to what is relevant at your current stage of life. So instead of deciding upfront one time in your life what you want to do for your entire life, you have to regularly review your career, assess it honestly, and adapt. So no matter whether you're in the midst of a career change or you're just about to start changing your career, just remember these 10 mistakes to avoid, and I'm certain that your path will be smoother and you'll make progress faster. I hope this video was useful to you. As always, I thank you so much for watching, especially to those of you who stuck with me to the very end. I wish you an awesome day, all the best with your career plans, and I hope to see you again soon.